Traveling out of Florida on I-95, I came across this contraption. Looks like a brand new storm chasing vehicle. Continuing north on Interstate 95 through South Carolina, I noticed a roadside marker to honor the Tuskegee Airmen of World War II. This park is to commemorate the country's first black military airmen. A monument to the airmen of the city of Walterboro was dedicated in 1997 as part of the Walterboro Army Airfield Memorial Park, which also is the location of a marker for a beacon that was used to guide military planes using the airfield during the war. And before I knew it, I was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. This place was a ghost town. It was beautiful, warm, and sunny, but not many people around. Even the permanent carnival was closed and empty. But the beaches went on for miles and miles along this coastline. It was spectacular. Driving north out of Myrtle Beach proper, I found this beach access. The Atlantic Ocean seems so massive, and the beach with the white sands went on forever, and the homes overlooking this ocean were gigantic. Airbnb, anyone? I can't imagine what the cost or value is of them, but I would love to stay in any one of them for a night or two anyway. I did hang out on the beach for a few hours, and it was nice. Heading northwest, I entered the Great Smoky Mountains, just in time to see the fall colors start to change. What you see in the distance is smoke. It may be obvious that the Smoky Mountains are so called because they are, well, smoky. But many don't know the nickname dates back to the time when the area was settled by the Cherokees. They called the mountains a place of the blue smoke. VOCs are chemicals that have a high vapor pressure, which means that they can easily form vapors at room temperature. The millions of trees, bushes, and other plants in the Great Smoky Mountains all give off vapor, which comes together to create the fog that gives the mountains their signature smoky look. After passing through the Great Smoky Mountains, I touched a tad bit of the Daniel Boone Forest. I then entered a very small town called Corbin, Kentucky. Can you guess what it's famous for? It's the birthplace of Kentucky Fried Chicken. When's the last time you seen a bucket spinning on top of a sign at KFC? My dad was born in Shelbyville, Kentucky, not far from here, and he used to tell us kids stories about Colonel Sanders was kind of a drunk, and he would hang out at the local gas station selling his fried chicken. But he never told me about Corbin, Kentucky, and the museum here. So, unfortunately, the museum was closed due to, yes, you guessed it, COVID. But I did take some pictures and kind of giggled that I stumbled across this historic landmark. Unfortunately, it wasn't all that finger-licking good for me. Just outside of Lexington, Kentucky, was this little gem, quite an attraction, the Ark. Its official name is the Ark Encounter, and it's a Christian, religious, and young earth creationist theme park that opened in Grant County, Kentucky in 2016. The centerpiece of the park is a large representation of Noah's Ark based on the Genesis flood narrative contained in the Bible. It's 510 feet long, 80 feet wide, and 51 feet high. It was also $10 to park, $59 to visit via a bus, and no, you can't see the Ark from the roadway. Once inside the Ark, it's 3 stories, and it's massive. The exterior walls on the inside around the entire Ark are full of what they call state-of-the-art exhibits, which means a statue of a person with a speaker talking at you. It reminded me a lot of Knott's Berry Farm Ghost Town type attraction, but they labeled it state-of-the-art. I think Disney needs to give them a hand. Anyway, the center of each floor had the different cages with the animals. The animals they have displayed really don't look like any animal I'm familiar with, but they were in pairs. Hey, that looks like a rat. Thanks, Noah. The exhibits were very well done, showing how they stored the food and did their cooking. It was very interesting, a lot of detail for sure. I was fascinated by the woodwork, that this thing was truly built to the specifications of the Ark as described in the Bible. According to Genesis 6:14, it says Noah's Ark was constructed from gopher wood. The Ark Experience has 3.3 million board feet of wood that was harvested as far away as Oregon and British Columbia. The Ark's framing consists of Engelmann spruce, and the exterior is mostly made of Ocoya wood and a bit of insect-resistant pine that undergoes a special process to make it Class 1 durable. Ark Encounters, operated by Answers in Genesis, AIG, a young Earth creationalist organization. The theme park promotes pseudoscientific beliefs about the age of the universe, age of Earth, and coexistence of man and non-avian dinosaurs. Young Earth creationists reject almost all the results of physical anthropology and human evolution, and insist that Adam and Eve were the universal ancestors of every human to have ever lived. Noah's flood, as reported in the book of Genesis, is said to have killed all humans on earth, with the exception of Noah and his sons and their wives. So young Earth creationists also argue that humans alive today are ascendants from this single family. With that said, walking through all the exhibits, it gave me a creepy feeling. The things it was teaching were nothing of what I grew up in the church with. However, the structure, magnificently built, attention to detail is amazing, and I just saved you all $69 so you don't have to drive over there and take a look at it. This exhibit was strange. Basically, it was saying, don't buy your kids arcs because it doesn't depict what they're trying to teach correctly, because there was no elephants and giraffes and things like that on the ark. However, in the gift shops, guess what they sold? Yep, you bet, all kinds of fuzzy little animals. So I went to the clerk and the cashier and I said, excuse me, your fairy tale exhibit says not to buy the kids the arcs as toys because it doesn't depict it correctly, but yet here you are selling stuffed animals. The girl threw her arms up and said, I'm only 17, I don't know. As I mentioned earlier, there's 3 levels or floors in the ark, and at the bow or the front of the ark on each floor happens to be a gift shop, one on each floor. Yeah, a little overdone, don't you think? And they're all full of the same little fuzzy little creatures that you see in the fairy tale exhibit of what not to buy your children, because those animals were never actually on the ark. Maybe my interpretation of this attraction and what I saw and read is off, but I guess you'll have to go and experience it for yourself. Well, looks like Disney called. This one actually moves and speaks through its mouth.
I don't remember the exact numbers. I put my son Shem in charge of keeping track of those details.
State of the art, it is. Not far from Ark Encounters, I stopped off to visit a dear old friend, Austin. And he's doing great and still has the limo. And then it was a back on the road to Shelbyville. They have their own sign off the highway now. How exciting. I opted to take some back roads through the old tobacco farms where my dad grew up. And it looks like they've been replaced with corn and other types of agriculture. Shelbyville is located just east of Louisville, and my aunt still resides there, so I found the nearest Kroger, bought her a bouquet of flowers, dropped them off on her porch, and due to COVID, went around the corner and chatted to her on the phone for a while. I would have given anything to be able to just give her a hug. Not far away was the Jim Beam Distillery. Boy, I smelled that before I saw the sign. So Abraham Lincoln Birthplace National Park was kind of crazy. I saw this and I thought Lincoln was styling, but actually once you climb up those stairs and go inside, that is where Lincoln's cabin is. However, there's a slight twist to it. There's a poster inside with results of carbon dating that states it can't be his cabin. Just down these steps, there is a natural spring. The literature states this is where Abraham Lincoln's family got their water supply. However, being that the cabin isn't really his cabin, I wonder if he actually ever even saw this spring. It was very interesting to see the cabin and how they would have lived during those days, for sure. Well, enough of faux Lincoln, and I headed towards Mammoth Caves. Although I'm a National Park annual pass holder, Mammoth Cave National Park charged a fee to enter the caves. It was nominal and definitely worth it. Just like Carlsbad Caverns, they also have a diorama of the cave system. Unlike Carlsbad Caverns, these are guided tours through Mammoth Caves.
But that word was actually founded in 1700s, early 1700s.
Mammoth Cave had a small entrance. I didn't see any bats. It was much darker inside, and in some areas very grand, just huge. Mammoth Cave National Park is in the west central Kentucky area. It is known as the longest cave system in the world. The national park was established on July 1st, 1941, and also as a World Heritage Site on October 27th, 1981. The park is 52,830 acres, and the Green River runs through it. Mammoth Cave is the world's longest known cave system with more than 420 miles of surveyed passageways. When they state passageways, some of these were very tight, and it took quite a while to maneuver through them. This was one of the few areas with water. This waterfall, I can't tell you how many stories high it was. It was amazing. This is the staircase we climbed up, and this is looking down, and that's not even halfway. And here is a snap looking up. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a completely different experience than Carlsbad Caverns. I didn't see many stalactites or stalagmites. It was very dark, it was hard to video. Heck, it was hard enough to see just a walk. Because of this being a guided tour, it felt like you were constantly on the move. Unlike Carlsbad Caverns, where you could take your time and really stop and experience what you're seeing. Its name suits it. The caves were definitely mammoth in size. On the way into Mammoth Caves, I passed through this little area that had Dinosaur World, and I thought, well, I'm probably gonna have to check that out. Well, a huge gift shop and a little playground for kids that they charged for, a little shopping, and I was out of there. Heading south to Nashville, where I'm gonna pick up a friend of mine for a portion of my travels, I stumbled across I couldn't believe they even had one, a Corvette museum on Corvette Drive. There was only 20 minutes until they closed, so I just grabbed my phone, ran in, and took these snaps. The models that were displayed were 2021s, and they did have quite a few exhibits, but unfortunately, I didn't have time to do any of them. Bookmark that for the next time I'm going through town. I made it to Nashville in time to pick up the L Factor, and we adiosed down to Memphis. It was sure nice having it in a hotel for a night and a hot shower and a shave. Check out this guy's car. I wonder if you notice he has a wrench in his bumper. The next morning, with the L Factor in tow, we hit Graceland. Upon arriving at Graceland and entering the house, it was like a time machine going back to August 16th, 1977, the date Elvis passed away. I don't think anything's been touched. It is a total time capsule of the 70s, and it is fascinating. It was crazy to see so many items that were very similar that were in my home growing up, and the colors, how each room was a distinctive color. It had its own palette on every room. Well, sit back and enjoy a tour of Elvis Presley's Graceland. Oh, Elvis, a yellow fridge, green sink, and green dishwasher? Wow. This staircase heading down is completely covered in mirrors. Man, all I can say, don't party at Elvis's, because you would definitely fall down trying to walk down those stairs. In this yellow room, he had 3 TVs going on all at the same time. Talk about a man cave. And his billiard room, floor, ceiling, walls, everything, even the furniture covered in the same pleated fabric. Holy cow.
That's a clock? Oh, yeah.
Now this staircase going up has green shag on the walls and the ceiling, which leads to Elvis's jungle room, which also has the green shag on the ceiling. I guess Elvis liked his green shag, huh? Was central air not invented in the 70s? Anyway, we head outside and visit his storage areas and sheds, and also his stables and where he kept his horses. It's pretty cool, very country. Here is Lisa Marie's little playground set, and then into one of the storage buildings, which was Elvis's father's office, where fans would send art, and the guide said this art is still in the place where it was left when Elvis passed away. Next to Elvis's father's office is the smokehouse. This was built before Elvis purchased Graceland. Elvis then decided to turn it into a shooting range. There are some bullets they found on the floor, and on each side of the target you will see some artifacts. Here's a Sears 3.5 outboard motor hanging from the ceiling, and some outdoor light fixtures. Here's a shot of the backside of Graceland. Elvis's bedroom is presumed to be upstairs because that area was blocked off for any tours. The racquetball building was completed in 1975. Elvis oversaw the entire construction personally. It includes a small gym, a bar, a lounge, and of course, racquetball. From the racquetball building, we were shuffled into what they called the trophy room. Things like Elvis's birth certificate was on display, his family tree, all kinds of goodies from throughout his life. In 1947, he made $3,900. Here's his keys to Graceland, his wallet. Well, you'll see. Love this picture of Graceland in the snow with his pink Cadillac parked out in front. These are interior designer renderings of his house remodels, and a check that he paid $55,000 to do it. Keys to Lisa Marie's own golf cart, a check to Bob Hope for $5,000 for the USO Building Fund, the TV that RCA donated to him. It goes on and on. I could do 20 videos of the items inside of this treasure room. Did you know that Elvis was part of the organized crime strike force in the state of Colorado? And there was his gun to go with it. Before we tour the meditation garden, which was my favorite, here are some snaps throughout the tour of his home. Enjoy! Yeah, notice his green coffee pot as well, and primitive surveillance video around his home. On the opposite side of Graceland is the pool and then the meditation garden. Fascinating. This grave marker is of Benjamin, Elvis Presley's grandson, who just recently died in 2020. The small marker is of Elvis's twin, who died at birth. Next to Jessie is Gladys, Elvis's mom. Next is Vernon, Gladys's husband and Elvis's father. And the king, Elvis Presley. On the other side of Elvis is Minnie Mae, Elvis's grandmother. What a fascinating place. It was so beautiful. Next, we headed to Elvis's garage, more like a warehouse, and there is his pink Cadillac in full glory. This black vehicle is a 1973 Stutz Blackhawk 3, one of Elvis' most famous vehicles and the last car he ever drove through the gates of Graceland. And here are a few pics of the other vehicles in his garage. Enjoy! This was a really cool exhibit. Here we have the L Factor being serenaded by Elvis himself. I guess he hasn't left the building, right? Next, we headed over to view Elvis's aircraft, the Lisa Marie, and the Hound Dog 2.
Like Star Wars.
The Lisa Marie is a Convair 880. It was purchased from Delta Airlines for $250,000 in April of 1975. However, refurbishing brought the total cost to more than $600,000. After Elvis's death, the Lisa Marie was flown to California to pick up Elvis's ex-wife Priscilla, his daughter Lisa Marie, and the actor George Hamilton, a longtime friend of Elvis. Elwood David, Elvis's pilot, then flew them back to California after the funeral. Returning the plane to Memphis would be his last flight. The stories were heard of kids that Elvis' plane had gold-plated seatbelts and gold-plated sinks seemed to be true, along with his state-of-the-art technology. And those curtains look reminiscent of the billiard room at Graceland, don't they? Elvis purchased the Hound Dog 2, a 10-seater Lockheed Jetstar in 1975 for about $900,000, while waiting for the refurbishment of the Lisa Marie Convair 880. On the tell, Elvis had painted TCB, taking care of business. After leaving Graceland, we hit the suburbs of Memphis and found his childhood home. There's even a plaque on the gate. From Elvis's childhood home, we headed to Sun Studios, which is known in the industry as the birthplace to rock and roll. There are too many artists to mention who recorded here, but Elvis was definitely one of them. This building, when Elvis was a teenager, used to be an electric sign company, and Elvis worked there. How ironic. Thanks for traveling along. Until the next episode, love you, Mom. Oh, you gotta love Sun Studios' social distancing sign.